face too.
Yeah, yeah. Hi, Scott. You're muted, Scott.
Good evening, all.
Good
Okay.
evening.
Hi.
That a real background,
Are
Scott?
we on, is nobody feeling good and we want to just all say that we're calling in sick? Is that what you said?
Yes, this is a real background. My wife said it looks better than what I had planned.
Yeah,
so
it does. It does.
I actually was going to do the Hartnett House in honor of Tim.
Aw,
Hmm.
I thought the last one was pretty cool. When you turned to look at something, it looked like you were trying to pull a fish out of the water.
That's good.
Okay.
So is anyone excited, as excited as me to get this out of the way or what?
Well, I guess. We're waiting on Megan and Ethan. Are you on?
Yes, we're waiting for Megan, and then I
There's
guess
Megan.
Dean
Hey,
would be the
Megan.
last person.
Okay. Has anybody gotten any correspondence?
Nothing that you guys haven't already had.
Okay, so,
I had to buy another file cabinet for this project.
geez, we had to buy another garage. Okay, so this is not
Need some
gonna be
doors?
that easy a meeting in some ways, and I want to talk about. Now we're in our pre-meeting, and I imagine there are people watching us on YouTube, and who knows what they're doing. But anyway, I have the agenda, and I thought I had it set, and then I had one change this afternoon, but to talk about the agenda, because the order of the agenda is subject to change, this is the order I'd like to do them in unless somebody has any strong feelings about it. Number one would be Appeal 2234, Stewart Shops, special use permit, no variances, matter of right. Number two would be Beth Ann O'Neill, Class B variance to replace cedar shrubs with 6-foot vinyl fencing. Joe, by the way, I can't tell what street is what or whatever on that. There's like sort of a diagram in my application, but I don't have a tax map or anything, so I can't tell where the neighbor is that wrote the question about backing out. Anyway, that's number two. Number three would be Sonny Hebert. Again, a special use permit for an 8-foot fence in the rear yard. Number four would be Wouter Rietzema, a Class B variance for his addition with a front yard setback. Number five and number six would be Vilas Home 2198 and 2199. Class B variance for the addition, which has several area issues and a special use permit. Most of them are not too bad. Mostly it's parking at the parking locations and amount. That's 5 and 6. Number 7, I was originally going to do Durkee Street, but I think I'm going to change that and do number 2236, the City of Plattsburgh, 52 US Oval, as the 7th one, which is a subdivision, and then number 8 at the end, Durkee Street. I'd like to get all these. It's no different than I think than when we've done any other meeting where we go. We're not going to make somebody waiting for a fence sit through 3.5 hours of testimony on a large application. So, and I think Durkee Street is the last one. We've got a lot of stuff to go through on that and talk about that. So, does anybody have any trouble with that order of the agenda? No? Okay. And we can talk, I guess, a little bit about each one of these things. Most of them are relatively simple until we get near the end. But one of the things I want to talk about, I'm probably going to make a little bit of a statement at the beginning because there's been a lot of push and pressure on the zoning board from every direction. And I feel, that there's all kinds of stuff about what's essential and what's not essential and whether this meeting is essential. And people were very upset, the public. I got a lot of feedback from people about our April 6th meeting because I didn't read comments regarding the essential nature or not of our meeting. Most of it seems to be tied to Durkee Street, but in general questioning that. And frankly, probably the April 6th meeting as it was scheduled and procedure set up might have been problematic, as we know. But anyway, after that, I think we made every effort to really make this as close to a regular meeting as we could, considering the public couldn't come here. And I got a lot of grief about why we didn't read comments. So I want to talk about that a little bit and say that obviously we didn't read them because everything was tabled. But it's my feeling, at least in what I've been doing all this time, that we don't have any other way. And Dean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe we have any other way right now within our meeting confines and procedures to hear comments except as they are attached to a particular application. In other words, I don't just open up it's not like, I think the Common Council, I never go to those meetings, but I think the Common Council has sort of a general public comment period, maybe at the beginning where you can go and say the potholes are bad or whatever, but we don't have a general public comment period. So that I wouldn't have read those. And I frankly don't want to read a whole bunch of them at the beginning of this meeting, most of which might talk about whether or not we should have essential meetings. And I get it about the pandemic. I've been at home. I have essential projects. I understand all that, but I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe that we have any other way to take public comments except during the review of an application. Would you say that's correct? Dean, right?
Yes, I would agree with you, Ron.
Right. In other words, we don't have, so when it comes to those comments, and I'm going to read as many as I can, I'm going to start to talk about whether I can do some kind of a summary, because I mean, there are just so many of them that are exactly the same, but we'll talk about that. But I don't believe we could have read them last time because we tabled everything, number one, and we have no just general comment period. And number two, tonight, I'm going to take those in that order, and I'm not going to read all the comments about whether or not our meeting is essential until I get to the prime application at the end, because those comments were sent in response to that application, and if they weren't, we had no other place to read them anyway. And in general, that's what they were for. So, and I also want to talk in the beginning of this meeting a little bit about this concept of how these meetings are structured or set up to keep this process either secret or try and be part of some program to rush any kind of an application through. I think that's going to be pretty evident tonight that we're not rushing, frankly, number one. And number two, we certainly don't do that. We are not beholden to anybody but ourselves. And I don't feel that no matter what anybody wants to do to push this from any perspective, that we're going to do anything but what we've always done, which is our proper process. And that's what, I mean, that's why we're here. And so this is an important thing to me. I've been thinking about this for weeks, and it's important. And I'm also, before we start each item, I'm going to make a statement, and I'm going to ask if anybody else wants to say anything on the board about this, about what's important or how they feel about it. That's fine. And then we'll get to the comments. We don't really have any comments on Stewart's. We don't have any comments. We have one comment on the woman with the fence. We have no comments, as far as I can tell, on the 8-foot fence and the special use permit. I don't think I've seen any on Reetsema. Oh, except for MLD, who said it has to be residential power. We have comments on violence, and we'll start dealing with that then. But does that make sense to everybody? Is there anybody that has comments about that?
Just a reminder, I have to abstain from the Vilas home vote.
Say it again.
I have to abstain from the Vilas home vote
Okay.
as a reminder.
Why don't we use that to segue into which one of those two is going to vote on the rest of the issues as well?
On
There
which
doesn't
one?
appear, there doesn't appear to be any conflicts, but is it going to be Megan or Ellie on which ones?
Well, didn't we say Megan is doing prime,
I think so.
right? And so and then Ellie, what, and you're gonna do Violet, you're not doing violence, correct? Meg-
I'm
Right, so Ellie would do that. and- Is that okay?
Yeah, that works.
I want to also see if, I'm gonna try something. I gotta go find if I can get on the email or not. I'm gonna try and see if I can call in while we're in this meeting. So you guys can talk about whatever. I'm trying to figure out how to call in, see if I can get better sound on my phone. Okay, so go ahead and talk about whatever you want.
Well, let's keep talking about who's going to vote. How about Stewart's? Is there a preference between the two of you?
Wait just a second, I can't see anything going on, so.
So why don't we say you on Stewart's, Megan?
okay.
What about 261 South Peru?
I can do that.
52 US Oval, that's in your ward, Ellie, but where do you live exactly?
Me?
Yeah, I mean, not exactly, but,
My address is, no, I live in Lake Village.
okay, so you're not that close, but that is your ward. Maybe Megan, you should take that.
Okay.
3 Tom Miller,
I can do that.
and then Ritsema is in Megan's ward.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
All right, Ellie, that's you. Okay. Got it.
Let's go.
So speaking of Ritsema, Joe, the coverage, is there a mistake on the numbers that they got them reversed?
I don't think so. I'll have to pull that up. When I print it out, I actually can't read, so I'm gonna have to go to the, I'm gonna have to pull it up on the city site. What does it say to you that indicates it's mixed up?
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm on my phone. I think it's better audio for me than my computer. I hope to not say that again quite so much, so. Seems okay.
Could you turn it, well, I guess we can turn it up. To me, you seem a little more muffled.
What's that?
To
Say it
me, you
again?
seem a little more muffled.
Okay, let me move the phone. How about it now? Is that better?
Low
Is
better.
that better? Okay, it's just the phone was a little further away. Okay. I'm just trying, I think this is better. Somebody had said this to me in a different, some other Cisco or Microsoft or something meeting. I don't know what it was. Okay. And
So,
are we set?
Hang on, Ron.
Ron, hold on. Go ahead, Scott.
Joe, they've got minimum open space of 50%, and they show existing 16% and proposed 18%.
Okay, so they need to invert that. It's really 82%. They're
Okay, that's
providing.
what I thought I was missing something there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, there's no problem with coverage or open space on that.
it didn't appear that way looking at the plan.
Joe, okay, so let's, we got a few minutes, so let's just talk about Stewart's. Let's go right through them, I guess. Can you hear me fine? Yes,
Yep.
okay.
You
So
can hear you fine.
Stewart's is a special use permit, and I want to let you know that I shop there. Does that matter? Anyway, but they're a special use permit. Joe, there's no coverage, there's no setbacks, nothing. It's all in the back of the building or the side or whatever, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's an expansion and of a use that requires a special use permit.
Right. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna look at the seeker and approve, I assume approve the seeker and approve, that shouldn't take too long. Right? Does everybody understand it? And who's voting? Megan? Okay. The next one is gonna be Beth Ann O'Neill. And Joe, I don't understand, looking at that application, there's only one diagram. I just don't understand what street is what street or anything. Am I missing something or?
Maybe. Kyle, are you following this? Can you put up any pictures? It's on the South Peru Street side.
Yeah, just give me a second here.
Yeah, but what's the long side? It's a triangular lot. I don't know.
It's a triangular lot between Sharon Ave and South Peru Street.
Right.
It's right at the tip.
Yeah, but which is South Peru Street? Which is Sharon Avenue?
South Peru Street is the side that has the hedge and is getting the fence.
And the other lot at the end of that, where that angle is that the lot that's worried about backing out?
I don't think so.
Well, I need to understand.
They may be one back because they're what 261 and then it was 257. So if there's
So
a
they're 2 houses
259,
away. Yeah, but where are they? I do Sharon and South Peru Street meet at this point?
yes,
Yes.
Right, they come in at that point.
Yeah. The
The diagonal side is Sharon and the other side is South Peru.
yes.
Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Do
So
we
that's the-
know, is this,
We're looking
Go
from
ahead.
South Peru Street right now.
okay. So do we know if this is gonna be back further, I guess, than the hedge or no worse, right? That's all those people are asking.
It's not going to be any worse and it might have to be back further. It's got to be on their property.
It's gotta be off the 65 feet, right?
Yeah, whatever that right
gotta
of
be
way
on-
is, it's got to be on their property. Yeah, it's not going to be any worse than that, no.
It-
Right, okay.
wouldn't the
Okay.
telephone pole right there be in the right of way?
That tells me yes, but I don't know for sure because I don't have a survey, but they can't
Well-
install a fence on city property.
Right, okay, so if anything, it'll be better. That's all
Yes.
I care about, yes. Okay. The next one is Sunny Hebert. Again, this is a special use permit for a 8-foot fence in the rear yard. I think it's a matter of right, et cetera, right?
That's right.
Does anybody have, who's voting on that, Ellie or? Okay. Do you have any questions on Al? Okay. Wouter Rietzema,
Kelly's got a
the only deficiency, the front yard setback?
yes.
And if they were that's because they're a corner lot and they have 2 front yards?
Well, they do have 2 front yards, but it doesn't comply with the front yard setback requirement.
What's that?
It does not comply with the front yard setback requirement.
Right, but neither does the main house to begin with.
Not on that side, no.
Right. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Who's voting on this?
That is Ellie, I believe. Yes.
Okay. Does
think
anybody have
Kelly had
any
a question.
questions?
Kelly had a question.
I had a question about Sonny Hebert's. Just looking over, I didn't go out and look at his property, but I do have a sense of where it is. Are there any other 8-foot fences near? 8-foot struck me as being really tall.
No,
Are there any
We're
other
around-
8-foot?
we're on Reetzema now, but,
No, I know. I raised my hand when we were talking about Sonny, but nobody.
oh, the other one? I don't know, but it's an allowed use by special use permit.
Up to
Yeah.
8 foot, okay.
Kelly,
In other words, he's allowed to have that. by
the other
special
thing,
permit.
Kelly, is that his property is lower than the property behind him. And I'm not sure if you know, Joe, as to where they're gonna put that fence, whether it's gonna be on their property or halfway up the hill, or there's like a drainage ditch there in the back.
Well, I don't know precisely where they plan on putting it, but it does have to be on their property.
Okay. But either way, they're allowed to have the 8-foot fence as a matter of right with a special use permit. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct, but if their property is up at the elevation of the other property, 8 foot's gonna put the top of that fence 12 feet above their yard.
Yeah, it's still measured from grade, I think, though. I mean, I don't know the answer. We'll ask them. Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. Now, Reetzema. This is a front yard setback because they front on Lorraine Street. The house doesn't. That's a covered porch, which I guess would go towards front yard setback, but otherwise, and they're maintaining or increasing. Matter of fact, they've got 12.8 at the existing house. You're going to 13.9 in the back, except for that little area. There are lots of other places near it that are quite similar in relationship to Lorraine Street. Does anybody have any questions on this or concerns or?
I just had a concern. I mean, looking at it, I don't see why they designed it that way. They've got tons of room in the back. The previous garage was way back. I would think that they could look at options to minimize increasing their deficiency.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, we'll see what they have to say. And does anybody have any other questions about it? No? No? Any other questions on Reetzema? Okay.
No.
And then we're gonna have the Violet home. We have a set of plans which include the basic layout. This is going to the planning board. The basic issues are here that he needs a special use permit because he's expanding a use that's allowed in the district with a special permit. So that he's allowed to do. The real issue isn't so much the special use permit, which there's no reason you wouldn't, that it's an allowed use with a special permit. It's sort of a matter of right in a sense. But the real issue is, the issues are expansion of the parking in the front yard, and he's using a parking calculation of 0.63 spaces per bed, which he's gleaned from a survey of all of the nursing homes and other extended care, whatever we're going to call it, facilities in the North Country. And from practical experience with his operation at, down in Willsboro. And he also has some issues with height, but those also go to trying to match the Violet's home itself, which is pretty tall. So this one is not going to be, the others are relatively quick, I think. This one's going to take some time, I would say. We have a few letters and correspondence. So,
Now, they aren't they aren't
Yeah.
making it worse, the height issue, are they?
not making it worse, I don't believe, Joe, correct? He's just matching that height, except that he also wants it to be a full third story so that the average is a little different. Right, Joe?
Yes,
In other words, instead of being 2.5 stories, because otherwise he gets sloped roofs that he can't use to make, and he'd have to go to a bigger footprint. And it would still match in height the existing Vilas. Is that correct, Joe, would you say?
yes.
Okay.
And Ellie, you're voting on that? Okay. Any other questions on that? The next one is City of Plattsburgh, 52 US Oval. And this is to do a minor subdivision so they can, I believe, sell the chaplain's house. Is that correct, Joe?
Yes, that is correct.
And it's deficient in maximum building coverage, deficient in minimum open space. I don't know if there's anybody that's on the board now that was on when we did this, when the city, I don't think there is. When the city took over the base, we had to go through and create all these lots where there weren't any ADS to it. I think we had 46 different variances, something like that, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
Up in that range,
Mhm.
40 some odd variances because of 0 lot lines, or, you know, the buildings we were trying to get saleable lots. So there's a precedence here out on the Oval where we've done just this, where we've created setbacks for that exact property, not even somewhere else in the city, but for out there. So this is the City of Plattsburgh. Is Milena doing this?
Yeah, I
Joe?
believe she is, yes.
Okay. Maximum building coverage, minimum open space, and minimum lot size. Again, they're gonna try and do this to separate that house from the rec center. Okay, who's voting on this? Megan? Okay, and do we have any questions about this?
How long has that detention pond been there?
I don't know exactly. 5 years? That's just a guess.
I never even knew it existed there until this came out and we went and looked at it.
Yeah. But I mean, I what I would tell you is that, to me, and again, I went through all those other variances on the base. This, you know, they need to do something to separate this off so they can sell it, and I assume that means it'll go on the tax rolls, which would not be a bad thing either. Okay, any other questions on this? No. And then the last one we have is, what's this one? Prime or something? I'm not sure. I guess we're gonna go to the other meeting in a minute, but there's a lot of stuff here. I'm relatively overwhelmed, if you want to know the truth. Did anybody get through and read everything? You read everything? Ally,
I
were you
read
always like this in
everything.
school? You did? Good for you. I read almost all of it.
I read
Uh,
all that I had up until today. And today
Yeah.
it was a wash. And I refused to
I-
read anything that came in after noon.
Listen, I think that we have a bunch of stuff to discuss. First of all, let's understand that this is the last item on the agenda, which I'm pegging to be 9:30-ish, say, something like that. We've got however many comments from the April 6th meeting that have to be read, however many comments at 3 minutes apiece. Now, many of which say the same thing, but that's what we've, I believe, determined that we're doing. Is that correct, Dean? We're going to read these. So we could have 2 hours of comment period before we even start this. And I want to read the comments first, since so many of them talk about non-essential meetings and react to that. I have my opinion about it. I'm not even sure how the board feels, and we can discuss it there if the board agrees or doesn't agree with those comments about essential or non-essential meetings, or whether we should be having them or waiting until the pandemic is over or whatever. I'm not being, I have my pretty strong feeling about it, but that's my feeling. And I'm not going to make a big deal about it till we actually get in the meeting and start to discuss it. But I mean, it's going to be a natural thing to talk about. Everything what happens is when I read these comments, anything that's in them becomes a topic of discussion. If somebody says it's too big, it's a topic of discussion. If they say that we aren't doing something right, it's a topic of discussion. And we can't just go, oh, that doesn't matter. We have to deal with it. I mean, we have a whole public comment period. It's the same as if somebody stood up in the meeting and said, I don't think this is right, or I think he's wrong, or that's bad, or that's good. We have to react to it the same way, except that they're not in the room with us. So, I mean, that one's going to be last, and it's not easy. And I have some issues, and I have some questions, and I'm sure everybody else has questions. I guarantee you, if you read almost all of that, you have questions. Maybe not. Maybe it's very clear to you. I don't know. So, do we go to the new meeting now, Joe?
Yes, I believe we got to sign off and climb into the new one.
Can I just,
Right, we
Just wanna
leave
talk-
this meeting and go to the new,
Yes,
okay?
yep.
hold
All
on,
right,
Ron,
Yeah,
this is Kyle.
yeah,
I just want to ask you what you want me to do today. Do you want me to put anything up until you say it? I'm going to put anything up. So nothing goes up until you tell me to put it up. No pictures,
Right.
Okay, you got it. Just wanted to make sure.
and then, right, and I don't want to deal with who's speaking in what order when we get to public comments. Somebody else is going to have to do that, I would say. Whoever's handling the hand raising secret code list.
All right. Ethan and I will work
Okay.
that out.
Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm going to the other meeting.